Robert Griffin thinks that Caleb Williams should refuse to play for the Chicago Bears. I'm going to tell you today why Robert Griffin III is an idiot. We're going to talk about that. Plus, we're going to look at the potential free agents still out on the board for the edge position for the Chicago Bears. And lastly, we're going to look at the Bears' salary cap situation before diving into the mailbag. All that plus more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Terry Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform that we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go to get to this content for today. And Robert Griffin III is an idiot. Yesterday coming out and saying in a video clip that with everything that just happened with Justin Fields, did Caleb Williams really look at that and say, this is the organization that has my best interest at heart and going to help develop me into the player I want to become? Now, make no mistake about it. I know I said that the man's an idiot, but there are legitimate concerns about the Chicago Bears' ability to develop a quarterback. We've never really done so over the course of our history, right? Yeah, we've had some quarterbacks that have been successful, but truly developing a franchise-level quarterback, that we have not been able to do over the history of this franchise. Unfortunately, that is one of the biggest glaring holes in the history of the Bears. You look at, we got running backs, right? That in Walter Payton and Matt Forte and just guys that were absolutely amazing parts of this team, right? We got all defensive players all up and down, but we have not had that truly great transcendent quarterback ever in the history of the Chicago Bears. The closest that we've had to that really is Jay Cutler, right? So with that said, that is a legitimate question, and I don't want to say or take away from that. But then when you look at it, look at what Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren and they have done to set this up. Bringing in Shane Waldron and his offensive staff, fleshing out that offensive staff all up and down with really good candidates who are going to help, right? And who's going to bring in an offensive system that have developed quarterbacks before, right? The quarterbacks have thrived in, and they've even rehabbed quarterbacks like a Geno Smith. It's important to see what this team has done with that. But then on top of that, you look at having 2,000-yard receivers in DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, right? Both guys who are great weapons in that. Tight ends in Gerald Everett and Cole Kmet, who are weapons at that tight end position, absolutely. Running backs in DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson, Khalil Herbert. Then on top of that, adding in a top 10 defense and bringing back Jalen Johnson, having a Montez Sweat on that defensive line, improving that linebacking core that we have, the young cornerback core that we also have with that team. Caleb Williams is probably walking into one of the better situations that a number one overall pick, if he does end up drafted by the Chicago Bears, that they've ever walked into. Is it perfect? No. Do we have bad history? Yes, but that is part of what Ryan Poles did, and we talked about it, right? And the offensive staff that Ryan Poles put together, him and Matt Eberflus put together, it was going to be great for rehabbing a quarterback like a Justin Fields if they ended up keeping him, or it's going to be great for a rookie quarterback. The Chicago Bears have done everything to make sure that whoever their quarterback is, the rookie quarterback that steps into it for this team next season, is walking into one of the better crafted situations. And that offensive line that I know some people are like, well, the Bears didn't do anything on the offensive line. Adding extremely solid depth pieces, right? And I hate it when people are like, well, we didn't get this name, we didn't get that name, we didn't do this. You guys, if it's not that some of the top 5 to 10 offensive linemen in history, you guys probably don't know most offensive linemen by name. So let's just go ahead and squash that right there. You don't have to have a big name to have a solid offensive line. And the Bears, for their credit, you brought in Darnell Wright. You brought in Nate Davis, right? Nate Davis, who was injured a lot last season when he was on the court, was more solid than not, but still some questionable things, right? But of course, you go in every season hoping for health. But if you don't get that, the Bears have added some considerable depth. Yes, they still need to do some things, whether it's in free agency or in the draft still with this offensive line. But listen, they're working on it. You're not going to solve every hole all at once. But at the end of the day, the Bears have drastically improved the standing of this offense, the coaching of this offense, the weapons on this offense have made, albeit admittedly, some minor improvements on that offensive line. Let's see what's going to come of that from progression. Can Tevin Jenkins stay healthy? Can Darnell Wright, who was playing most of the games injured, but he still played every game, right? How do these guys progress with better continuity and with more depth? Yeah, I still hope that we do something more at that center position and bring in another tackle to kind of push Braxton Jones. But I'm not saying that Caleb is walking into, or any rookie quarterback is walking into, a perfect situation, but they're still walking into a much better situation from top to bottom than most rookie quarterbacks are stepping into, especially teams that have the number 1 overall pick. Because usually, if you have the number 1 overall pick, you were the worst team in the NFL last season. The Bears got lucky and got the number 1 pick from the Carolina Panthers. The Bears have created a situation that's while not perfect, while not amazing, is still a really solid situation for a rookie quarterback to walk into. So, listen, I don't like the way that Robert Griffin III came at it. It kind of is what it is. Yes, the Bears are going to have that history of not being able to develop quarterbacks until we do, and that is a concerning part of all of this. The Bears just have not been able to do that, have not been able to show a propensity to do that. But here's the thing that I'm going to say in that as well to kind of take away some from it. Ryan Poles didn't draft Justin Fields. So forever what that's will. That this is looked at as Ryan Poles getting his guy. And he is, hopefully, with everything that we've seen, is going to try to put his guy in the best situation. And that's not to say that the way Justin went or anything like that, but it's just the realities of it. And so when it comes down to it, I think that Caleb, whoever the rookie quarterback ends up being, is walking into a pretty damn good situation. And they're going to be walking into a situation where everybody's going to be invested in their development. Some because it comes down to their jobs, but also just to create that environment and to truly hope that maybe the Bears are finally getting their franchise quarterback that's going to be transcendent and help push this team to wins. Let's hope that that's the case, right? But with that said, I also want to talk about, moving on from that, is free agency. We didn't talk a lot about free agency in yesterday's episode because kind of more looking at the fallout from the Justin Fields trade and recapping week 1 of free agency. But now we got to talk about the Bears. The Bears right now, with their moves, have, according to Over the Cap, $30.89 million in cap space, which is behind only the Commanders, the Patriots, the Titans, and the Eagles. Now, that number does not include Gerald Everett, Cole Shelton, Dante Pettis, Matt Pryor, Brett Ripon, Jake Curran, Jake Martin, or Amin Ogunbindi. I murdered that man's name because those contracts, the full details aren't out on that. But even with that said, the Bears are still in a really solid cap situation with, right? And we know that we still have holes to fill when you look at it. Defensive line, another defensive tackle, hopefully, right? Edge position, wide receiver are definitely positions that the Bears are going to be focal points on top of some depth at that offensive line, maybe even the center. Connor Williams still hasn't been signed as well. I'm telling you guys, there's a possibility of a 1-year prove-it deal there. But with that said, those are kind of where the Bears are going to be focusing at for the remainder of free agency. And those are positions that we definitely need to address, right? We know that those are major positions that this Bears team really needs to take a hard look at to get some of the depth here that we need at quality positions. Now, with that said, edge is one of the biggest ones. Now, could be an edge there for the Bears at number 9. There could be a wide receiver there at number 9. So depending on what the Bears are going to look at to do, I think they've gone out, gotten that veteran in Keenan Allen, added that to DJ Moore. We'll see. They still need another wide receiver regardless because I highly doubt they're going to trust Tyler Scott to just come in there and get that and develop into that. So, still think and hope that their wide receiver is going to be drafted by the Bears, maybe at number 9, maybe at a different position. But with Chase Young signing with New Orleans, right, that's kind of taken away one of the prospects that I had hoped could be a cheaper option if he didn't find a deal elsewhere. But shout out to him getting a 1-year deal, fully guaranteed. You got to give him credit for what he was able to do there. He's going to be able to go back out on free agency. If he can stay healthy, he's going to get paid again next offseason. But there are still some cost-effective options here for the Chicago Bears that they could bring in for that defensive line position. And one of the first ones is a guy who's already been here, and that's in the Yannick Ngakoue. Now, Yannick's time here was bad. It honestly was his worst season. When you look at Yannick and over his career, had never really gotten less than, I think, 8 sacks in a season, right? But he came here to the Chicago Bears. The Bears are hoping he was going to be the player that could get to the quarterback for this team, and he just wasn't able to do that because guess what? This defensive line was absolutely trash and atrocious throughout most of the season, and he didn't have that impact. So when you look at it, with Yannick Ngakoue taking a step back, 4 sacks last year. That's after having seasons of 9.5 and 10. The last couple of seasons after that weren't full seasons for him, but he had 5 and 3 in those 2 seasons. In what's still a total of 8 in that season. So he hasn't had a full season of less than 8 sacks. And because now you have Montez Sweat, if Yannick Ngakoue strikes out again, considering he went down with injury, I do think that there is a chance, albeit a small chance, that the Chicago Bears look to bring him back if they don't draft an edge, if they don't find another edge out in free agency. I do think that that's a possibility. Not putting a percentage on it and saying it's a huge one. I hope the Bears explore other options, but Yannick is a possibility there, and I think you can get him at less than that $10 million you paid for him last season for sure, on top of all of that. So look out for Yannick Ngakoue there. Another one is one that we've talked about frequently. That's Jadeveon Clowney, 31 years old. We all know that long in the tooth there. I don't think you'd be signing him for longer than a 1, maybe 2-year deal on top of that. But this guy just last season had 9.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. You put that on the opposite side of Montez Sweat, even if it is just for a year, I like the ability to put pressure on the quarterback consistently with those two guys under the Chicago Bears. So that's another guy that I absolutely think could come back for the Chicago Bears. I mean, that the Bears could take a look at to sign if they decide to go that way and bring in a veteran on a 1 year. I wouldn't say it's a prove it deal. I wouldn't say prove it. It's just he's an older player. You don't want to tie yourself into long-term money. Maybe they can make some money that not guaranteed in the second season, right? But then there's other players as well that the Bears could take a look at that aren't quite as good. Carl Lawson is one that the Bears could look at. He played last year for the New York Jets. Didn't have a great season for them. Only played in 6 games. But if you look at the seasons prior to that, played all 17 games in 2022, had 7 sacks. The year prior to that, 2020, the last time he played. Before that, 5 sacks and then 5.5 sacks the year before that. The biggest question with Carl Lawson is the injury concern. Now, I don't think that you probably want to bet on him, right? So if you do sign him, I think that you still want to go out and get you a young defensive edge in this draft at some point that can grow and develop. But he is somebody that the Bears could take a look at in this free agency. Now, it may come after the draft, right? If he's still out there by then, you may not want to give a whole hell of a lot to him, but he's a guy as well that the Bears could take a look at that could be a cost-effective 1-year option for the Bears and come at a bit of a discount. And then also you have Rasheem Green, who did play for the Bears last year. Didn't quite have the season that some people thought, but the guy's still only 26 years old. He'll be 27 by the start of the season. You look at what he did for the Bears. He still had 2 sacks last year, played all 17 games for the Bears, and that's the 2 prior seasons to that. He had 3.5 and 6.5 sacks. I think playing a full season with Montez Sweat, Rasheem Green would look a lot different. So I do think he's another option that the Bears could bring back to this team that was on the team. Familiar with him. The coaching staff knows him. Now, that could go good or bad depending on what you look at, but he's another one that I definitely think the Bears should and could take a look at bringing back to either it to be a depth piece or either to be to get an opportunity to win that starting job if you don't get the big name that you could possibly get out there in some cases. And then lastly, I want to bring up Justin Houston. This is a 35-year-old guy, though. This would be a very cost-effective option, but to me, you only bring him in if you absolutely know for a fact that you are getting a defensive end in the top 9 of that draft. Otherwise, I mean, you look at it, he didn't play a full season last year, only 7 games played. He had a half a sack. The year before that, he played 14 games for 9.5 sacks. The year prior to that, 15 games played for 4.5 sacks. So he has 112 sacks over the course of his career. But again, that age could be something that just prices him out, and the Bears may not take a look at that. But cost-effective option that could be out there for the Chicago Bears. I'm okay with it. Like I said, if the Bears were to sign more as a depth piece and they plan on drafting one of those edges in this draft. And the last one that I want to bring up here, 29-year-old Shaq Lawson is another prospect out there that could be a cost-controlled option. 26 sacks over his career. He's been playing since 2016. So again, not great there, but could be a depth piece there for the Chicago Bears. So, y'all saw yesterday another depth signing, a training camp signing. And I think that's primarily what we're going to see going forward. Maybe another fairly big signing, but other than that, kind of all training camp guys who are going to come in, try to earn themselves a role and a spot on the team, compete with some of the younger guys as well. But that's really kind of the things that I see most happening for this team going out there with the remainder of the money that we have in free agency. We got to sign our rookies, so we'll see what happens with that one. But guys, let me know what you guys think on all the topics down below. But now it's voicemail time. I told you guys about 2 to 3 voicemails on every episode this week just because of the amount that we have in the voicemail bag. Let's get into this first voicemail. This one's from Rory.
Hey, what's up? Bobby, C-Dub. Man, dude, this your boy Rory, man. I'm just crushed right now, man. You guys did say it was a possibility that this can happen, but hey, you did say that you gonna laugh if Post trade Justin Fields, and that's still a possibility. He still can trade for that number 1 pick and trade Caleb and still get a haul still, you know what I'm saying? And still pick another quarterback. that's still a possibility. That's still on the table. And you did say you'll laugh if if he traded both. But man, I'm just crushed, man. Justin never got a fair taking this man. I mean, ship him off to Pittsburgh for a six round pick, man, and you got to sit behind Russell as a backup quarterback. God, Bobby, has some good points on what he said, but man, it just don't make sense to me. Why would you trade Fields? You know what I'm saying? And you can get, you could get a haul for, trading Caleb. But now Post has officially got rid of everybody from the Nagy and Pace era, so they all gone now. I mean, he has totally rebuilt and revamped this team, dude. I mean, everybody is gone. I think, So that's like crazy. I still can't believe it, man, that he got rid of Fields, man, and it questions my heart, man. But like I said, I'm a Bears fan first. If if he does pick Caleb, I'm gonna pick for whoever he is quarterback. You know what I'm saying? I'm down with the squad. You know what I'm saying? I'm riding with the team. So I mean, but if Caleb is a bust, bro, I'm clowning. I swear to God, I'm clowning. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody put these expectations on him and all these. You know what I'm saying? All these great accolades on him and everything. I do want him to succeed if Ryan Poles decides to choose him. But if he's a bust, man, I'm gonna be so pissed off. I'm flaming all these Caleb Williams supporters and all that. And all these sport analysts and all this and commentators and all that. Some of he's a generational talent and he doesn't live up to the hype. And like Steve-O said, he got eyes on him now. Everybody's watching him to see what he's going to do and see if he's going to live up to that hype. You know what I'm saying? Because they hyped that boy up big time.
All right, so the chances of Poles still trading the number one pick are a lot lessened, right? But as I've said before, I count nothing out with Ryan Poles, and that's why if it was almost any other GM, I probably wouldn't even give it a chance of happening. But just because it's Ryan Poles and he looks at the world completely differently than most people do and looks and takes different angles, I'm just going to leave that open for that, right? But I agree with you. Fields didn't get a fair shake. But I think trading Fields means that Ryan Poles saw an opportunity to get his guy. And that's for lack of a better term, right? But I do think that getting a guy that you drafted, you built it, you created this offensive coaching staff, and then now you're getting an opportunity to go out and get somebody that's labeled your guy. But you better get it right, right? That's the thing that it comes down to. Is that if you get it right, and I get it, Bears fans are upset, and rightfully so. I'm not saying don't be upset, Bears fans, but if this works out and the Bears are winning because of it, that's the ultimate goal. That's the thing that matters, right? Is getting this team, and that's what I have been saying. Despite my hopes, my thoughts on what I would like to see this team do, go out there and make the right deal that's going to get this team winning. That's what it comes down to. Make the right choice. Get this thing right. That's it. And as many Bears fans are out right now and are upset right now because the things went, we don't know how it's going to go yet, right? I get it. People are like, well, I've watched as much tape. I know exactly how this is going to go when we get Caleb Williams. Shout out to you, right? But at the end of the day, I'm going to hold my critique, my criticism, and I'm going to hold my praise into seeing how this works out. And unfortunately, we won't know exactly how this works out for years, right? And that's not to say that the team is set up for success. That's what I'm saying. It's not about putting the pressure just on Caleb Williams. What this team has built with the defense, with the offense, this is still a team that, to me, should be contending for a playoff spot, that should win more games than what we did last year. And seeing that development of the rookie quarterback over that time is important as well. But we won't know for sure until Justin is playing and either back as a starting quarterback and our new rookie quarterback also has had time to develop to see if this was the right deal or not. And I know that's not what a lot of Bears fans want to hear. They want to see the team make the choice that they think the team should make. And that's fair. That's fandom. That's what we all do. Sit here as an armchair GMs and try to make the best decision for the teams. But when it comes down to it, it's all about the product on the football field to me. And I have players that I'm going to love. I'm going to have players that I either want the Bears to sign, want them to keep, or whatever. I'm a fan. Yes, absolutely you want that. But it comes down to what is the product on the football field, and do they build this winning organization that they told us that they want to build? And that's where I'm going to hold my long-term criticism or praise down the road and see where this goes. And we'll see. We'll be here covering it every single day on Chicago Bears Central. So that is what it is. But all right, let's get into the second and last voicemail on today's episode. This one's from ECH Bears fan.
Greetings, Hayes, C-Dub, Bobby. Steve-O and Kev, I've loved your coverage of the Bears for the last 2 years. This is E, or the ECH Bears fan. This may very well be my last voicemail. I want to let you know I've been a Bears fan since I was 5 years old in 1985. Die hard up until I started seeing things that made me think that certain things weren't the way they should be in the NFL, especially the officiating when Bernard Berrian got called 3 times for offensive pass interference when he didn't do it at all versus the Packers. I stepped away for a little bit because I was getting too emotionally involved. I came back a little to enjoy the entertainment of football with the Chicago Bears after Justin Fields came because I really respected the kid and the way he played the game. I'll say this. Caleb Williams, the man who loves to wear sports bras when he trains and dresses and skirts and photo shoots for GQ and fashion shows, represents the new Sodom and Gomorrah to me and is everything wrong with this new woke feminization of men. That's why I could never support him. And if Ryan Poles does draft him, I will walk away from the Bears forever and hope that the franchise never faces success again and both Caleb and Ryan Poles' careers go up in flames. That being said, keep carrying on and do the best thing that you always do. Talk to you later.
Okay, so what I'm about to say, ECH, please mean that it's not directed towards you because I understood how you're using the term woke, and I know you're using it how it's commonly used. So this isn't at you. I have no problem, and I'll get to you. But we have to stop as a culture. First of all, the term woke came from being aware of your surroundings, being aware of things more than just what the media pushes towards you. And just like any time people of color create a term, it's co-opted and used for something completely different than the meaning. Woke has never meant to be used to describe anything usually involving color or marginalized groups that people don't agree with. That's not what the term woke was ever meant for. That's not what woke is. Caleb Williams wearing a sports bra, as you said, it being on GQ wearing skirts has nothing to do with being woke. It has nothing to do with that. We got to stop being lazy and co-opting terms to do something where words and actually describing how you personally feel would fit. That has nothing to do with being woke. We got to stop with that bullshit. And again, that's not directed towards ECH at all. I get what he was getting at. I'm going to get into that. This is more towards the media and how things are pushed. That has nothing to do with being woke. Nothing to do with that at all. Nothing to do with being woke. We got to stop that. Stop using. And I, for one, think that anytime somebody uses, and again, it's usually used when people are trying to describe something using colored people, people of color or people in marginalized groups. And we got to stop that. We got to stop that. Has nothing to do with woke. And even on top of that, that's not what woke is. It's not woke because it challenges the common thing that's been put out for decades of just, this typical thing that's been in the media and all. It's anything adverse to that. It's not being woke. It's just presenting things that happen in actual life. Guess what, people? I'm gonna bust some things. And I know this has nothing to do with football. Gay people exist. That's not nothing to do with Caleb Williams. Gay people exist in the world. So when you see gay people in TV shows, in movies, and in things like that, it's just people showing in what is actually happening, representative of actual real life. People who get all up in arms anytime somebody gay or anytime somebody effeminate or stud woman is presented in media, and it's like now it's woke. Shut up. That has nothing to do with being woke. Nothing at all. Those people exist in the world, and if you get all up in arms and in your feelings anytime that's in the media, what the fuck are you doing? Wake up. Grow the hell up. Now, as far as the Caleb Williams aspect of it, right? Let me say this. As far as the Caleb Williams aspect, I get it, and I understand that's the thing. He paints his nails. He was in GQ. Kyler Murray, I think, was the first one to wear that sports bra, so to say, when they work out. Here's what I'm going to say. Dwayne Wade wore skirts. Dwayne Wade even talked about and came out and said he's been painting his nails since he was a kid. How many titles did Dwayne Wade win? It comes down to how you perform on the football field. And I hate that this character assassination, again, keep in mind, I'm a guy who didn't even necessarily want to see the Bears draft Caleb Williams. But we got to stop assassinating somebody's character because of what they decide to do out in the real world. It's about what does he do when he puts on the football pads. There are more than enough legitimate critiques about Caleb Williams' game, the game of football that he plays, how he does gamble, the fumbles, right? How he does take chances down the field that sometimes turn into bad turnovers. There are legitimate football reasons to critique it other than just making it about whether the man paints his nails or not. Like, don't get me wrong. I've made my jokes about it too, but come on. It's starting to become so many people's talking points that it's like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about, man? And so listen, ECH, you are a big supporter, and I love you, bro. Like, let me be clear here. And I get it that you have an issue with Caleb Williams being the leader, potentially, of the Chicago Bears. And you have every legitimate reason to feel that way, think that way. And if it unfortunately causes you to stop being a Bears fan, I mean, that's your right. You don't have to be a Bears fan. You don't have to just support the people that are pushed for the Chicago Bears. You don't have to do that. I would hate to lose you as a Bears fan because I think this is a time where we need we need the people like you who've been around this team for longer than I've been alive, right? We need those people. We need those voices in the community. So I would hate to see people like you lost and leave the Chicago Bears because of it. I really would. That honestly, as a Bears fan, not as a content creator, bothers me that that's where we are now with the decisions that's made. But you got to make the decision that's best for you, bro. And I mean, if the Bears are winning, do you come back in? I don't know, right? That's a decision that you have to make. But everybody is this. You have the right with your dollars, with your support, with whatever you do to show your discourse for whatever is going on with on or off the field for the Chicago Bears. And I implore everybody to exercise that right. Stop spending money on merch. Stop spending money on tickets. Stop supporting the team. If you truly just don't rock with where this team is going, whether it's on the football field or anything else, that's how you can support it. Just don't judge other people who don't. And again, and I'm not saying that to ECH, but just don't judge other people who decide to keep their support because they just look at it and saying, hey, if the Bears are winning, I'm down. And that's all I can say on that. But guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.